extremely happy he's back. I've celebrated that publicly, but Alex nailed it. Elon is taking the biggest risk here. It takes unlimited energy to propagate lies. You have to continually repeat them, and you have to continue to try and falsify information and hide the truth to keep lies afloat. And this simple purchase, you call it simple, the purchase of a simple website has literally cracked the matrix in real time, and it becomes extremely difficult now to run the psyops they were previously running and enslave the populace, which is their primary goal. So Elon is a hero, absolutely. And the risks you are taking, Elon, I don't think many people at home actually understand the gravity of the risks you are taking, because your ability to speak freely is heavily leveraged against your insignificance. You're only allowed to speak if nobody listens to you. And if you get big and people start listening, they're going to come at you hard. And I think I'm not completely versed, but from what I understand, Elon's already suffering the lawfare tactics, which they're going to do. They're going to keep pulling out the hat to try and slow him down,
As the civilizations rise and fall through history, we've been in a period of civilization rising very rapidly, but we should be concerned that we may be cresting, we may subside, and there are many times where I get late stage civilization vibes, and I'm just worried that maybe we're cresting as a civilization and perhaps headed for a fall. So, yeah.
Well, I agree with you, because I truly believe, and a lot of people have said this before me, this is not an original idea, but I think as AI and machines and tech increases, a lot of people are going to be deemed useless by the overlords. And then you have to sit and decide, what are they going to do with all these people who have hopes and dreams?
I saw you 6 months ago at the World Government Summit, where they're all just saying we're going to make everybody eat bugs and we'll make the decisions to put microchips in them. And you said, we don't want a centralized system. We want a diverse system. We want firewalls. And I don't agree with this Tower of Babel you're building. They know that we go through cycles, and they want to artificially create a great reset collapse, in their own words, to make everybody else poor.
Going through the earth and so selfishly orientated that they don't care about expanding civilization. They just want to control the humans that are currently here.
And Andrew, I totally agree with you.
And an arrogance.
I totally agree. Let me throw this caveat on it, because I've read the writings of Bill Gates and Klaus Schwab and the Club of Rome. They know we could easily expand. There's plenty of room, hundreds of billions of known galaxies. They know that this is just the seed that's going to not just grow into one giant oak, but an entire forest, an entire universe. And so they want to shut everybody else down, because they can't deal with competition from the Elon Musk that come out of the general public. They want a global tyranny so they can direct the expansion. And we can't let that happen, because they literally talk about it, Agenda 21, the official UN plan, a 90% world population. So we need to go with the Elon Musk plan. And that's why I tell people that get upset, they go, Elon Musk is involved in every advancing technology. The globalists are pushing that too. Well, technology is like a gun. It's whose hand it's in. And so we need the gun in the people's hands, the gun of expansion, instead of in the globalist hands. And so just because Elon Musk is on the cutting edge of every technology, I fear us not being in control of it. And Elon is saying we need to be an expansionary human explosion of competition and freedom, not some new dark age with a tiny breakaway civilization that's only working for itself. Sorry, I'm ranting.
No, but you're completely right. Push these boundaries. They have the sole control. I don't think please. And there's people in the world who have no interest in growing. And that would absolutely, that would be certainly disappointing. And truthfully, it's so amazing we'd even speak about these things. Only 2 years ago, you couldn't even speak about these subjects, but it's so pertinently obvious to anyone who pays attention. And it is scary, and expansion and humanistic views are certainly the way to progress. And it has to be done. There's no other way. Just like a business, just like you guys said, if you stand still, you die. And it takes a few brave people to break the matrix. You have to break the dam. And I think bravery is so important, because it puts a crack in the dam, and it shows that if there's people out there brave enough to risk getting canceled, risk lawsuits, risk lawfare, then it's going to inspire bravery amongst the rest of the populace. And it becomes extremely hard to lie to brave people. And I think that that's one of the largest pandemics of Earth today is bravery. And when I say bravery, I don't mean that in any kind of negative connotation. Bravery is being full of love and loving the people around you and sticking up for your community and loving where you live and loving your country. And it's brave to do those things. And it's love.
What do the globalists teach us? Children are bad. We're ugly. Humans create all this racial division. They want us to hate each other, so we just give up, pull over, so the globalists can have the future.
I would just like to say here,
the globalists are short-sighted too, because the thing is that you can't really separate yourself from civilization. So I think those who are sort of advocating, like it's really, I think it's just logical to be pro-civilization. You don't actually necessarily have to be altruistic. You just have to think long-term and say, obviously, you cannot exist in any good way without civilization. I mean, just watch one episode of Naked and Afraid, and see how much you want to go live in a forest by yourself.
We're in a super pivotal moment now, and the reason we're in a pivotal moment is because the machines cannot do the policing as of yet. My brother and I often talk about how bad COVID would have been if they had Terminator machines. You didn't have your mask on, you couldn't even appeal to the empathy of the person who knew how insane it all was. As soon as the machines control the policing, it's absolutely over, and we're not that far away. So we're in a very pivotal period now where the bravery that's required to resist the globalist oppression has to happen now. Soon the technology will exist, and it's over for everybody.
We are at a critical crossroads right now in the entire future of the human destiny, and I call it Plan C, but I mean, Elon, what do you call it? Just an alternate plan for humanity? Because we have a debate that the Black Rocks and the globalists are right now in control. If they were 100% control, you and others felt rested. Maybe they're in 80% control. They're losing control very quickly as people discover what they're doing. But what would you call the debate discussion about a pro-human future? Just humanity?
Yeah, to humanity, absolutely. That sounds good. But I think like something that is really important is like you just literally have to have kids, or there's no next generation. I mean, Alex, do you have kids?
Yes, I do. I'm not as prolific as you, but I wish I was. It's the best thing in my life. I have 4.
Okay, great. And Andrew?
I do have a few. I won't let you down, Elon. I'm coming to take over your title. I'm coming to take over. I'm doing my best. You know, I gotta use my good looks for something.
Well, I think we ought to encourage people to have kids,
and this is the bottom line argument. This is what is so important. We just talked about how the globalists are ultimately selfish and only care about their own power.
Most of the globalists don't have children. And
of course, because they're selfish.
Here's the thing, you guys are all attacking the globalists, but if you ask a globalist, like I have friends who I would consider globalists, you ask them, their ideologies are aligned that they believe that somebody living across the world is just as valuable as somebody who lives in America. And I know,
they've already enslaved the third world, and then
but that's not how everybody who you would categorize as.
No, you're right. There's a lot of useful idiot globalists. But not, globalists at the top.
So maybe if you want to look at the top, if you say globalists at the top, some of them might have that view. But, if you just talk to an ordinary person who views themselves as a globalist, they're not saying, I'm evil. They're not an evil person. They just have this belief that every human being around the globe is equal.
I would call that an internationalist. That's an internationalist. A globalist wants one world government run by corporations.
Yeah, well, I think you can label them differently, but I think if you talk to somebody...
Well, Henry Kissinger was a globalist. Zbigniew Brzezinski was a globalist. I'm not trying to be mean to you, but their number one rule is the Earth is too small. We can't expand. We've got to bean count and put everybody on rations. We've got to social engineer and end the normal human program because humans are failed. They want to turn us into factory farm humans. Those are a lot of
I'll answer the question.
Sorry, guys. If we just say, some of these titles are a little confusing. If you say someone's an internationalist or a globalist, I think what can achieve some disambiguation here is to say, does someone have as an axiomatic belief that there are too many people on the Earth, or do they not? Do they believe that the Earth can sustain the current population, or do they think it cannot? Now, the reality is Earth can actually handle a human population probably 10 times larger than the current population. Earth is actually very sparsely populated by humans. We only see density because if we're in a dense urban environment like New York or Boston, London or something like that. But if like here would be like a good test. If you took a plane from LA to New York and you try to drop a bowling ball and hit somebody, your chances of success are basically zero.
You'd have to drop 10,000 bowling balls, maybe.
Yes, you just and I'll tell you sort of something that may scare people a little bit, is that there are thousands of objects falling onto Earth from space all the time. But how often do you hear about someone actually getting hit by falling by meteorites?
Absolutely.
There's one known case of a woman with her house getting hit by one.
Elon,
Yeah.
I want to just respond to Ed actually for a second, because again, when it comes, I think it's good to get a good counter view here. I think that there's two different things going on, Ed. I know what you're trying to say, but there's a separate point about your obligations, right? So you could, and I believe everything has been said about the importance of expansionism for humanity being pro-civilization and expansion pro-human race to win. That's like a separate axis, though, from saying where are your obligations where you are, right? So we talked about procreation and family. Then we talked about the nation. Well, look, I have two kids. As a father, my moral obligation, I believe, is first and foremost to my family. And then, let's say, as a president, my moral obligation is to the citizens of the nation that I lead. And then you can worry about hunger in the Congo or whatever else needs to happen in the Darfur or in other places. And so I don't think that you're saying necessarily that life...
Charity begins at home.
Exactly. And that's not saying that life abroad is any less valuable inherently. And so when you say like the globalist view is that all it's saying is that all life is equal wherever it is on Earth, it's not like I think an alternative view is countering that. There's also just a separate place in terms of where you're situated. Where's your obligation, right? As a father, it's to your family. As a president, it's to your country. And just because you believe that's the hierarchy of your obligations means somebody else is the leader of one of those other countries. And that's an obligation that they have too, but that's like a different discussion.
Well, the neoliberals in their own PR, they're the ones doing the worst things on the earth. They just say, oh, we want global government. We want to give Africa's representation. Then they lock them down for 3 years and starve 30 million of them to death, and then organize them to flood us as a political underclass. This is cold-blooded Henry Kissinger State Department Memorandum 200. I mean,
it's not.
But what is black and...
Wait,
what
but
is,
can we
what
just...
is,
I'm sorry.
what is black
Go ahead, Andrew. Go ahead, Andrew, and then we'll go to Dave. Andrew?
Okay.
What I do believe is black and white is simply, if you read a history book, you'll see the worst things that humanity have ever done have been done with good intentions. That's what's so bad about evil acts, is that people think they're doing the right thing. And that's the most dangerous thing about it. And this idea that they look at all human life as sacred and all the same, I actually disagree. I think the reason they will prioritize people in a third world country, for example, you'll say it's because they see us as equal. I think it's because they see us now as spoiled and annoying. They don't like that we need pensions and living space and healthcare. They simply want slaves in a robot class, and they'll do anything it takes to get it, and they'll get it from anywhere they can. And when someone comes along and says, well, my intentions are good, I'm not interested in that, because you can name any Holocaust or any atrocity in history. The people didn't think they were the bad guys. They often thought they were the good guys. And I guess the easy way to look at life is you want to be having as many children as possible. You want to pray other people do the same, and you want those people to enjoy freedom. And anyone who's coming along restricting speech, restricting access to certain things, restricting movement, all they're doing is trying to restrict so they can control. And nobody in a history book ever who did that either was the good guy. I think it's very clear to see who's on the right side of history and who isn't. And I advocate freedom for everybody. If I disagreed with absolutely everything Alex said, I'd still be glad he's back on X. And these people can't even handle a different opinion. Do you think they're going to allow the people of a different opinion to them to share water or share food or share anything else once they have?
And the reason they don't want another opinion is they want to misrepresent what Elon Musk or Andrew Tate or Vivek Ramaswamy or any of... I'm telling you, they want us silenced so they can lie about what we said.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I have a quick...
We'll go, Jackson. I'm going to go to you right after Dave.
I'm just saying, I agree that with you there. I think that a lot of the media and a lot of these platforms do want to silence voices because they want their voice to be heard louder. So yeah, I definitely hear you there. I definitely don't. As when it comes to globalist, I think, it's not black and white. You're not either a globalist or you're not. I think people fall in between, and there's different reasons for why people might feel one way about one, you could say globalist idea and another. So I mean, I don't like painting people like, with a black and white pen, because I feel that everybody falls somewhere in the middle.
All I know is this, that there are people that want a corporate world government whose aim is depopulation and not giving the general public access to technology by lying about resources and literally saying carbon dioxide that plants breathe is evil, and then telling us the world's going to end in 2030 and the ice caps are all going to melt, and none of that's true. So our children basically give up on the future, decide not to have children. That's all I'm saying. Elon Musk is promoting an optimistic, pro-human future that the science and evidence shows is real and that we need.
Gentlemen, I have to go.
I just want to be sort of exactly. I want to be very clear about my position. I'm super pro-human, and I mean all humans. Humans in America, humans in
somebody's
Africa,
got their thing
Asia,
open,
and everywhere else.
Somebody's got their phone open in the bathroom.
Yeah, that's Vivek. That's your. Vivek. Go ahead, Elon.
Sorry about that.
So, well, I hope you feel better.
I feel great. Thank you. Sorry about that, guys.
I'm super pro-human, like for Team Humanity here, and I just think we want to make sure that people have a positive view of the future, and like I think I encounter a lot of people who have actually very pessimistic conclusions about the future, and if you try to unpack that and say where does that pessimism come from, and I think like these are like good people, like they have good intentions. I think they think about the come from is believing that there are too many humans on the planet. This is false. Earth can easily sustain far more than the current population, but they've been told this thing and they've believed it, and it is false. I'm very pro-environment, obviously.
Bye, Andrew.
I might have done more I might have done more, for sustainable energy than maybe any single human. So I would consider myself an environmentalist, but I also believe in physics and reality and not sort of being alarmist about things.
Something you said was really smart, and I've seen the equations. I'm not a mathematician or rocket scientist like you, but we need the fossil fuels to get to the new technologies and transfer over. You can't cut them all off and then not have it. They're blowing up the bridge that gets them there.
Yes, what I would like to say, my final point, I would like to say, I often get asked by people who follow me, they say, who do you think who controls the world? Who do you think the Matrix is? And I use the Matrix as a very simple way to explain that they purport a false version of reality that everyone buys into to keep your mind occupied so they can extract your body heat from you for the soulless machines, which are essentially the globalists we're talking about. And I try and say that I still believe that we run the world. There's a lot more of us than them. We still control the world. It's just down to what we will accept and what will allow them to do to us. And that's why bravery is so essential and so important. And I know I can come across as brash with my message.
No, you're not. Stop
telling 16-year-olds. When I'm telling 16-year-olds to go and get rich and buy a fast car and train hard and go to the gym, etc., because these young men are far less likely to blindly comply, and it's extremely important that they don't psyop the next generation of young masculine youth.
And that's why the system was scared of you, Andrew, because you were doing an extreme version of it to shock them out of it, to show them how to have a destiny, how to have desire, how to want to be into the future. And that's the same thing in a different way.
You're right. We still control the world, and it's down to what we will accept, and it's going to take bravery and love. You need to love the people around you and love the human race and love the place you're from. And I just want to wrap up by saying that I would never kill myself. And if they put me back in that dungeon to starve, I hope you will all do your very best to get me out.
We will, Andrew. Love you. Can I just throw something out? Because I'm going to talk to Elon Musk here and everybody else. This is surreal. Andrew Tate, Vivek Ramaswamy. This is crazy. John, I've got a friend I want to get on. We also have Mark Dice, who's really stood up for free speech. He's on the line. If he can get a quick.
I'm going to leave Alex, but I just want to say welcome on Twitter, and I think there will be more truth than not. All else equal. So hail to the truth.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Take it easy, guys. Bye bye.
Thank you, Vivek.
Bye.
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks, Vivek.
I have one quick question. So I guess the premise as to why Alex was banned for so long was that he supposedly lied about an atrocity, and that goes against ex-community guidelines.
That's not quite correct. The at least obviously this was before I acquired the company, but the actual reason for suspending him was he basically insulted a journalist.
wasn't
That
like
was not-
your purpose for keeping him
Well, he
still
believed
banned?
that because the media had said that. Now he's learned that, right?
I'm just going off
I
of what.
literally just looked at the logs for reason for suspension. That was basically a third strike violation. The third strike violation was insulting a journalist.
Yeah.
This is literally this was not my decision. This is literally the Twitter logs of the old people that used to run Twitter. This is what they
Yeah.
wrote.
I guess what I'm saying is, like, under your leadership, though, the suspension was kept in place. I remember you tweeted out because you're not going to bring someone back who lied about, the death of innocent children.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, then and we're going to uphold things fairly and firmly for all ex-users. Can we expect that, like, if Alex or anyone else on this panel lied about Sandy Hook or an atrocity again, that they would also be banned again?
You already answered that.
Yeah, I've already
He did,
answered
yes,
that.
he did. Yeah.
And
It just
if
depends on
that
the
okay,
context.
so if that is the
The
case,
platform will
Let it pass,
adhere
hold
to the law, and we will adhere to the law. That is what the platform will do. So if somebody says does something illegal, then they will be suspended. If they do not do something illegal, then we will try our best to avoid any kind of permanent bans unless someone does something fundamentally illegal.
Elon, I don't know. We don't. I know we don't.
We're just trying to stay true to the Constitution of the United States in America and the laws of the country as decided by the citizens.
Elon, in the
How you? Go ahead, Alex.
and Elon, way more interesting. And I just asked one question of Elon. Elon, it's great having you here in Texas. You're kicking ass. You're Texas through and through. Your whole spirit. We love you. Should we change the Constitution so you can run for president? Would you ever think about that?
I would like to stay as a technologist and build rockets and electric cars and technologies that hopefully have a good effect on the world and advance civilization. That would be my preference. I would not like to be president. So I would just like to build things that are further civilization. That's my goal.
I think that's a smart answer. Are you concerned if the deep state establishment, it's not just one group, is able to kill Trump or not let him run for office for the repercussions? I mean, are you optimistic for the future currently, or just how do you feel about the election coming up?
Well, I think it will not be a boring year. That's for sure. I think it's going to be eventful. I suspect. I don't know. You seem to be quite concerned that people will try to assassinate Trump, but I don't know. I mean, obviously, I'm against assassination generally. So, I guess if Hitler was alive, I'd be in favor of assassinating him. But Stalin, that kind of thing.
I would be too. Your attitude is we can sell the world of freedom and humanity 2.0 and a new renaissance. The establishment will just step aside because our ideas are so good. Is that what you're saying?
Look, I think what I'm saying is that I think it is very difficult to predict the future. That we're certainly going to have a very contentious election and perhaps some contentious elections worldwide. The X platform will strive to be as truthful on and to that's going to be the goal. And SpaceX is going to build rockets and Tesla's going to build cars, and as for what will happen, I don't know what's going to happen, but I think
is there any big
2024 is going to be quite the encore. 2023 is my suspicion.
I know you've talked about incredible jets you want to invent, so many other things. Is there any other big invention you've got on the drawing board at the back of your mind that you haven't announced to the world that you want to tell people about today?
No. This would not be the forum for announcing any new products or technologies. So, I mean, we do have, the Neuralink chip, which I know some people might be concerned about, but that's really something that will take a very long time to, be in any kind of widespread use. We've got the first use, the first patient will get a Neuralink chip. This is a quadriplegic, and it will enable them to control their computer and their phone. And then,
my uncle was in a motorcycle accident and he was having seizures, about to die, couldn't even walk. He got one. It's not one of your brain chips, but a brain chip. And actually, he can walk and talk and is happy now. So that's not bad.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's the regulatory stuff on this is very intense. So, the first one will have, you could think of it sort of like a telepathy. You can sort of control your computer and phone just by thinking. So it's kind of like telepathy. And then the one after that will be, I don't know, we're just trying to think of a name for it, but you can think of it like blindsight. Even if somebody has lost both eyes or lost the optic nerve and is completely blind, we can actually give them some amount of sight.
Or that.
Ultimately, I think high resolution sight, kind of like Geordi LaForge from Star Trek. You could actually see in multiple wavelengths. You can see ultraviolet and infrared, and you can even see radar if you want.
And by the way, for people that don't know, Elon's not lying. Even in MIT papers, they've actually done tests. That's what they say though. Is I know the problem is just narrowing the sight to our bandwidth. They say these people see everything, right? Like a full spectrum.
Yeah, you can have it's a point at which you have a camera. You can have a camera that can receive photons of many wavelengths. So you could see, even in darkest night, and you could see ultraviolet, you could see infrared. Like I said, you could even see radar if you want. It would be a kind of thing that would, it's probably trademarked thing, but I think blindsight is a cool name for it.
I think
like even if, yeah.
Let me get one question from Mark Dice, because this is the best interview ever. Mark Dice is a great journalist. He stood up for me the last 5 years when nobody else would. Mark, quick question for Mark, please.
A comment, really, just to reinforce to everybody listening, all the journalists, and thank you, by the way, Elon, for unbanning Alex, for everything that you're doing, for the platform, for command. I just want to reinforce, and I'm glad you retweeted this, Alex, the reason why Twitter cited Alex being banned, contrary to popular belief, not because he entertained some conspiracy theories about Sandy Hook, as crazy as they were, and Elon just confirmed that the Twitter laws said this. He confronted Oliver Darcy, a public figure on public property when he was working in the capacity of a journalist, and they cited that.
But Mark, that's old news. Let's move on from Alex Jones.
Well,
we're talking to Elon Musk. What's your question for Elon Musk?
I didn't see the Twitter file. In the Twitter file, can you release data about the choices that were made regarding the trending list? Because the trending list drives the news cycle, as you know. Made a self-fulfilling prophecy by manually inserting topics in there, getting people to talk about them. It becomes a topic. It becomes news. Did I miss that in the Twitter files, or was that just not released? I would like more data on the manipulation of the trending list to manipulate the news cycles over the previous ownership.
Yeah, well, there was a significant manipulation of the trending list, it's worldwide. I mean, you can just, I'd say, like, as a general rule of thumb, whatever conspiracy theory you've got about Twitter is probably true, even more true than you think it is.
Are you taking precautions?
Now, yeah, I think the path to having a sort of a clean system is maximum transparency. So that's why, like, for community notes, the software for community notes is completely open source. You can see every line. The data for community notes is completely open source. You can see the data, you can see the logic, and create the community note conclusion. So you can tell right away if there's manipulation. With these things, it is not black or white. There's always going to be some degree of manipulation, but you just want to try to put as much sunlight on it. As I say, sunlight's the best disinfectant. You want to have it be as clear and transparent as possible. This will minimize the amount of manipulation. So the more visible something is, the less it is in the shadows, the cleaner it will get. Will not be perfect, but it will be much better than something that is hidden.
One other point, I hope that you're making precautions for the possibility of X being banned from the App Store, using it as a save to home screen type of feature. As you know, that's probably a very real possibility over the next 12 months. But one other thing here, and again, appreciate your time, I would also just politely ask that the InfoWars account and Owen Schroyer and Rob New, their employees vouched to be unsuspended. They were lumped in with that initial suspension. And maybe I think it's time. I do believe CNN violated in terms of service of harassment. They posted a video a while ago, years ago, showing them harassing a poor old lady because she shared something on Facebook that originated from Russia. And you can see on the house, just up in her front yard, you can actually see her address, the number plate right on her house, and that's still on Twitter. So.
But Mark, let's not become them. Let's just take Mark.
Exactly.
Yeah, I just kind of want to troll to give kids to their own.
Well,
But anyway,
I do want to be clear that doxing, which includes revealing the pseudonym of someone. So I want to be clear. Sometimes some publications claim that revealing the pseudonym of someone is not doxing when it obviously is, will result in at least a temporary suspension. We will be very reluctant to give permanent suspensions, but we will give temporary suspensions for any kind of doxing activity or anything that endangers the health of another person in a meaningful way. And that includes major publications. That it does not matter who you are. It doesn't matter how big you are or small. Here's one. We do have a UN exclusion, which is that if it's the head of state recognized by the UN, even if they say things that are, kind of crazy, which they do, then we don't suspend a head of state. Just for the same reason that the UN allows heads of state to say crazy things at the UN Assembly. But
we need to hear
that.
What everybody has to say.
I was just going to ask, I guess you don't like Nikki Haley's idea of basically doxing everyone?
No, I hate it.
Hey,
the thing is that a lot of people obviously would face repercussions from their employer or from their government or from some organization if their identity is revealed, and that therefore inhibits the public dialogue. People, there've been professors who've been suspended for favoriting things on old Twitter. They literally got suspended for just tapping a favorite button. This is so you can say, like, look, if a tenured professor can get suspended from their job for just liking a post on the X platform, then obviously there is some need for people to be able to post things anonymously. Otherwise, they simply will not be able to speak their mind.
Absolutely,
they're losing their job.
It's anti-whistleblower, but I just want to say this because I think the community notes is the best thing ever. Even if somebody says something really horrible, I think there should be some buffer zone to at least let them respond as much as they can before they get banned. Because what I see everywhere is PR firms will say somebody has said something they didn't say. They create this woke mob response. Then the person's taken down, and then most of the time it's not even true what was claimed. General?
Yeah. Anyway, we're very much going to err on the side of freedom of speech, which is really just saying, in America, we're going to uphold the Constitution of the United States, and that's what we're going to do, and uphold the laws of the country. And if the laws are changed, we'll then change our behavior to match the laws, and we'll do so. And we also can only match the laws in other countries. Sometimes people will say, well, why don't you demand freedom of speech in some other country in the world? And I'm like, well, we don't make the laws in that country, and if we don't adhere to the laws of the country, they will simply cut us off. And so we can't do more than that. So we're basically.
What about the other factors? Before going to general spend, you've got obviously laws, but you got the revenue still running a business, and you've got external pressure. How do you balance all these when fighting for free speech?
Well, we're gonna obviously favor free speech. I believe my action has been very clear in this regard. That if it is a choice between money and freedom, we will pick freedom.
General?
yeah, hey, thank you, Mario. Thanks for hosting this thing. You're doing a wonderful job. This is really a question for Alex and Elon, a statement, and I wish Andrew and Vivek were still on, but we've talked about these different sort of array of forces between the globalists and the humanists, or whatever the right descriptors are. Yeah, what I would really like to see, and I would love to hear Vivek's take on it, because I think he's such a wonderful debater. I'd like to know if there's a possibility to set up a intellectual debate between, the Alex Jones, Elon Musk, Andrew Tate, Vivek, probably throw Tucker in there. Maybe there's Joe Rogan, against an intellectual debate against the Klaus Schwab's, the Bill Gateses of the world, and then there's others.
They
in
won't
that
do it
category.
because we'll kill them.
I disagree. I mean, this is how we fight today, right? We are fighting in an information domain. Andrew, I wish he was still on because I'd love to hear his take. Andrew starts to imply, and there's a lot of people that imply this. We're going to move to something that we don't want to, place that we don't want to be, because of this. Frankly, what I see is a globalist takeover, and I'm all with you, Alex, and you and I have talked about this a lot. But what I would really like to see is an intellectual debate and a challenge. I mean, otherwise, because 2024 is going to be for the United States, it's going to be a historically consequential moment in history, and I would prefer that extraordinary session that I've been listening to for the last couple of hours here. And I would really like to hear, at least Alex, because you're on, and I think Elon's still on. What do you think about setting up some type of intellectual debate, or at least array
on X? On X,
yeah.
While doing it through space.
Well, on X, on X, or however. Yeah, I would love to see them come on X to do this. This would be wonderful.
Alex, would you be open? You and Elon, would you be open to such a debate?
Well, let me just throw the thing, because I'm chopping the bit here, and then Elon will take over. It should be on X. They had the last Republican debate, and it had like 5 million viewers. This is going to have 50 million viewers. We keep acting like dinosaur media even still matters. It should only be held on X, and I would love to see it in this format or with an added video component to it.
Yeah.
Yes.
We
challenge their intellectual ideas. I'm sorry. And that's my point. But that's my point. We have to challenge their intellectual arguments.
Yeah, I agree.
Love it.
I think Elon should call them out. It'll be fight. If those cowards will show up, my God, it'll be their Waterloo.
Elon, you know how the media works. Do you want to call them out, and then you'll get that snippet all over the media?
Well, I'm certainly happy to have a debate with Klaus Schwab or others. I think you guys have maybe been following what's going on in Davos more than I have, and certainly more than the vast majority of people have. I think most people don't even know that there is a conference in Davos, or the World Economic Forum. I've only seen snippets, but some of the snippets are concerning, and I don't think we should have sort of an unelected quasi-governmental organization deciding our future. Who made them the boss? Do people even know that they're doing this? I'm not okay with some organization, that I don't vote for, controlling, my destiny or that of other people. I don't know if they're necessarily fully controlling, but they certainly are influencing things. And I think an unelected full government is not a good idea.
Well,
how much
breaks the internet?
Elon, on that point, CJ, I'll go to you right after for a question, then Suleiman. But on that point, how much control, you kind of changed it, whether control or influence? Because on one side, you've got people that say, they control the world. Every decision is kind of influenced, or they make that decision behind the world. On the other side, there's the people making the argument that they're trying to do the right thing, and things are being taken out of proportion. It's all a conspiracy. Where do you think on that spectrum, in your opinion, we stand?
Well, I mean, the original premise of the World Economic Forum was to have some kind of forum where there would be interaction between government leaders and commercial leaders, sort of the heads of corporations and governments, and that there would be some forum for them to talk. And like that original premise, I think is not a bad one. Because right now you've got the UN, but that's just government to government, and you've got a bunch of sort of individual, commercial leaders will meet with government people one-on-one. But there's the sort of the good part of the World Economic Forum is it's probably good to have some dialogue between commercial leaders and government leaders internationally. That's I think the positive side, and that's originally how I heard about the World Economic Forum, and I was invited to speak there many years ago, which I was just too busy working, and I was like, well, I can't really go spend 5 days in Switzerland. I have work to do in America, and they weirdly wanted me to come talk there, but also pay them $20,000, and I'm like, that doesn't make sense. So I declined the invitation. Now it does seem that since inception, perhaps this organization has gained a bit too much power, and a bit too much influence. And I think it probably, it should have less power and influence, is my opinion.
Elon, I have
See,
a
Jeremy-
quick question. You tweeted about the imprisonment of the American Chilean Gonzalo Lira in Kharkiv, Ukraine yesterday. I'm curious if that imprisonment of an American for speaking his mind on YouTube and X has caused you to consider further support for Ukraine, albeit through Starlink or other means, and also unrelated to that, can you provide any updates about Starlink for Gaza?
Yeah, I mean, I generally think, look, I understand that if an American citizen is in another country and violates that country's laws, or those countries' laws, even if their actions would not violate the laws in the United States, that person would then be put in prison. But in the case of Ukraine, the United States is providing a vast amount of aid to Ukraine, and the United States government has an obligation to protect its citizens. And so I think, even if one disagrees with what that I guess YouTuber or journalist, depending on your perspective, what they posted, I feel uncomfortable sending massive aid to Ukraine if they're putting American citizens in jail for doing videos on YouTube. That's not cool. And it's like, and you could say like, okay, well, yeah, but Ukraine has the sovereignty in their country. It's like, yeah, but they don't have a right to our money as well. So it's like they don't have a right to our money and support and to imprison and mistreat American citizens.
Well, that's right. Look, I don't know if it's also Russia, Ukraine. It's an old ancient fight between the two countries that's gone on for 1,000 years. It's a Slavic civil war. But Ukraine is arresting the Orthodox Church. Ukraine, even the mayor of Kiev said Zelensky's becoming a dictator. So all I'm saying is this black hole we're feeding hundreds of billions into, we should at least be able to debate it. And if an American journalist is critical, he doesn't deserve to be put in a gulag. That is very dangerous. I agree, Elon.
And as for Starlink for Gaza?
Yeah, and on the Starlink for Gaza front, I mean, obviously that place is currently a war front next level. So in order for Starlink to be used in Gaza, terminals have to be brought in, and they have to be, used in a way that where it is there's a high degree of certainty that they are not being used for any violence. So now there are only really two ways to get into Gaza. One is through Egypt, and the other is through Israel. So if there was like a situation where, say, Egypt was willing to let a Starlink terminal in, and we could have very high certainty that the terminal would not be used for any kind of military purposes or for violence, then we would support that. Egypt has not stepped forward, to the best of my knowledge, in that regard. And obviously we're not going to be played for fools here, where if an organization would perhaps pretend to be using Starlink for peaceful purposes, but then actually use it for violent purposes. We will basically ask for a webcam on that thing 24/7, and if there's the slightest concern about it being used for violent means, it would be turned off. So that's the situation there. I mean, it is a very difficult situation, and I am sympathetic to Israel, but I also I'm sympathetic to civilians in Gaza. So
But
it's not. I'm pro-human, to be clear. And so
Elon,
yeah.
it's just like, here's the deal. I'm not pro-Russian. I'm not pro-Ukraine. I hate the war. I'm pro all of them. I agree. But when you learned that they were using Starlink to rig up robot boats to blow up battleships, and Russia said they were going to launch nukes if they did, you didn't sign up Starlink to be a weapon system. It's very fair to say it's my company. It's my.
Well, yes. To be clear, the Crimea and the sort of was an officially sanctioned area by the United States, and we were not actually. The Starlink cells were not turned on in Crimea and the area around Crimea because of U.S. law. Would prevent us from doing so. There was a Ukrainian attempted attack on the fleet in Sevastopol, and I got an emergency call saying like, hey, we need to turn on the cells around Sevastopol, a U.S. sanctions zone. We would need permission from the U.S. government to do so, and in fact, I don't, and it would also mean that we are directly complicit in an attack on the Russian fleet directly. It wouldn't be. There's no plausible deniability here. Now, if even though I'm not the biggest fan of President Biden, but if President Biden had called and said, as the President of the United States, I'm asking you to turn the cells on, I would have done so. But we did not get any such call. We were only called by the Ukrainian government, and the Ukrainian government is not my boss. So it's like, and so we can't. It would actually be illegal for me to turn on Starlink cells at the request of a foreign government, like in a sanctioned territory sanctioned by the United States.
They were setting
a
you
violation
up.
of U.S. law. So it's like
They were setting you up like Cindy Bad Thing.
yeah, but the media misrepresented it as I turned off the cells. This is not true. They were never on. And if I turned them on, I would have broken U.S. law. And I would need an exemption from the State Department and express written permission from the president in order to do.
And
to
that's
turn
why
them on.
Blinken.
Yeah. So, and I do think we need to be cautious about escalating that war, and we need to find a path to peace, and not sacrifice the flower of Ukrainian and Russian youth, ultimately for nothing, or for a few miles of territory, which is currently what's been going on for the past year.
Do you think with the sentiment?
I've got a question.
Let me
So
let me go to CJ and I'll go to you. Let me go to CJ and I'll go to you right after. CJ.
Mario.
Hey, Mario. Thank you.
Thank you.
So
Go ahead,
much.
CJ.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mario, for hosting this. Elon, my name is CJ Pearson. I'm a 21-year-old conservative activist, and I currently work at Prager University. And General Flynn made a really important point a little bit earlier about how Twitter has made it super accessible for conversations like this to happen, debates and discourse. And Alex, I think, also made the point earlier that if you look at the debates and the viewership that they've had, you don't really see them reaching all that many young people via traditional cable channels. And one idea that conservative activists like myself have had, different Gen Z conservative influencers have had, is having a Gen Z moderated debate or town hall with the Republican primary candidates and exclusively streaming it here on X. What would you think about something like that? Do you think that would be a way for America's next generation to hear different ideas that they obviously aren't hearing currently on their college campuses?
Well, actually, I don't believe in exclusivity, but I think that that not doing it on the X platform makes no sense. Things should be done on the X platform because it is the most widely accessible platform. It is where you will see. It has by far of anything. Although like I don't this might top out at maybe a few 100,000 people live, but it will probably go viral afterwards, and I don't know, probably have 10 million people listen to it, or 20 million.
We've had on the Mutiny space, we had 18 million listeners from memory.
Yeah, no,
when we did the
exactly.
Russian
So I mean, the way to think of this platform is that there, on an average day, there are over 250 million people on the platform. That's an average day. But some days it's more like 300 or 400 million, and a really crazy day could be like 500 million. So I mean, we're at times we're starting to approach 10% of all humans who are online are on the platform.
Well, Elon,
so it's a very big
line
number. And we're not even, and we're obviously not active in China. X doesn't work in China. It actually works on international phones, but not domestic phones. And I believe it is also does not work in Russia. So it's more. I think we do exceed 10% of all humans at times on this platform. So it seems crazy to ignore this platform because then you're just going to reach far fewer people.
Well, Elon, bottom line here, The proof is in the pudding. You judge the tree by its fruits. You are the only massive platform that's open and free. People are hungry. It's exploding. This is the example for the world, and we're trying to stop war. We're trying to create a pro-human future. This is what this is really all about. I've been very honored.
Alex, before you're honored, just to give you an idea of how Spaces works, and just in the last couple of hours, that was meant to be an interview with you. Then Elon jumped on, Andrew Tate, his brother. We just had Vivek jump on, and Matt Gates just jumped on as well.
Loved it.
And that's one thing with Space, you just never know who could come up. Matt, how are you?
I'm great. I'm enjoying hearing Elon's perspective on adding value to all of our followerships and allowing us to engage.
Your thoughts on Alex Jones being back on the platform?
I think it's great. Alex has been someone who's provoked a lot of critical thinking from policymakers and broad audiences. Of course, there are things that I'm going to say that would offend people, things that Alex would say that would offend people, but I think they'll just have to be offended. I think it enriches the discussion to have Alex back.
Suleiman?
Yeah, I've got a few questions. My first question is, we've seen extremely positive steps in terms of the return of Alex Jones. We've seen the return of Andrew Tate. We've seen the return of President Trump. And so X is definitely moving towards a free speech platform. My question is, when will we be able to get to a situation where it's completely free speech and it's just based solely on following the legal laws of the country? I know it's a process and it takes time, but how far do we envision this happening? How far in the future?
Well, I think we've made dramatic progress over the past year. It's only been a year since the acquisition closed, and it's been quite difficult to. We had to not just keep the wheels on the bus, but upgrade the bus while it's going down the highway.
While Elon's cut out, Thomas Jefferson said, "We will not be transported to the state of liberty on a feather bed." Go ahead. Is Elon back?
No, I think he might have gotten a call. Oh, you're back.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I'm just saying it's been quite difficult to keep the wheels on the bus and upgrade the bus while barreling down the highway at 100 miles an hour. So that's kind of where things. But I think we've made progress here, and I think that progress I think is accelerating. We keep cleaning up the code base and simplifying it and providing more transparency and providing more clarity and obviously improving freedom of speech and getting closer and closer to the law. And I just want to say, with respect to the law, I am a strong believer in the law. So you'll sometimes read an article where it sounds like I'm some crazy maverick who just likes breaking the law. It's like I am subject to so many laws that it might be hundreds of thousands of laws, maybe millions. When you think about Tesla and SpaceX and Starlink and all the countries that they're in and all the regulatory regimes and all the rules and regulations that we have to adhere to. And the amazing thing is how closely we actually adhere to the law and follow the law and do what countries believe is right and legal. And once in a while, in a very rare case, I might disagree with the law or regulation, but we will not willfully violate. So what I'm trying to say is I'm extremely law-abiding.
Elon, I totally agree with you. I don't know how you have the energy. People talk about Trump's energy. Your energy is insane. Where does your energy come from? Going back to being a child, did you kind of just, the universe is a loop or a figure eight? It doesn't just go in one direction. Did you have inklings of the big things you were going to do? Or when you were a child, did you have any, foresight about what you were going to be doing?
No, not really. I just, I liked technology and like taking devices apart and fixing them and building things. And I loved science fiction, fantasy, like Lord of the Rings and Heinlein and Asimov and Star Trek and Star Wars. And I didn't know what I was going to do. I liked programming computers. I found programming computers to be intrinsically interesting. Not because I thought I'd have a job. Actually, I didn't think I'd have a job. I know you could even make money writing computer software, but I was just interested in it in and of itself. So I'd program computers all night by myself, which is not, it doesn't appeal to everyone. That's, I think, actually quite an unusual thing to want to sort of type strange symbols into a computer all night, essentially by yourself, is not what most people want to do. But I did like doing that, and but also like hanging out with friends and stuff. But no, I didn't think any of this would happen. I would say I have a philosophy of curiosity, which is that trying to understand more about the nature of the universe and our place in it, and that's why I studied physics. Not for career reasons, just try to understand how the universe actually works, and what has good predictive value, and physics has got very good predictive value, so that's why I studied it.
Then
And
give us your predictive value, gut level. Elon Musk. I mean, this is like beyond any Hollywood movie where we're at right now. Does humanity survive? Gut level. You've got all these great children. That means you bet on humanity. Do we make it to the next level? And what is the next level?
Elon, you there?
sorry,
While
yeah,
waiting for yeah.
you need one needs to think of the future as probabilities and not certainties. So, then any given action that we do can affect the probability of a good outcome. There are no certainties that I can, or at least I do not have a crystal ball that.
So we're changing the future.
Yes, I think by our actions, we can individually take actions that improve the probability of a good future and the furtherance of civilization. And I think we should, take those actions. And some of that involves we've got to have kids, or there won't be a next generation. And we've got to educate them well, and I think like the
So no, hold on.
civilization.
Let me ask you a question, Elon, because you're obviously a genius. We're here talking to you right now. Don't predict the future, be the future.
Yes, the best way to I think, and that's, I forget who came up with this, but the best way to predict the future is to create it.
Yes.
And I do want to. Jason Calacanis is here, and they've started. Yeah. Please tell him, and I'll go to you in a bit. Jason, a quick question to you first. Would you have Alex Jones on the All In podcast? Sorry to put you on the spot.
Well, I have him here now, so would it be okay if I asked him three questions?
Please, go ahead.
Yeah, but Elon's far more fascinating. Please ask Elon questions.
Jason.
Well, Alex, my first question for you is I'm curious if you'd be willing to answer three questions about the Sandy Hook parents.
Oh, great. Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, you now have your freedom of speech and you're here. So I think a lot of people are wondering what theory or evidence led you to believe that that was a fake, staged situation.
He's already answered these questions.
Yeah, every time
we're here on Spaces for the first time. Let's ask him.
He already answered this like 40 minutes ago.
Yeah. Let me answer this. Everything I say is misrepresented. You'll say I'm saying it again. I believe it happened, and I'm sorry, and I apologize, and I'm done.
Okay. And so, what did you get wrong about that situation? Like, what led you? Because you've investigated these situations many times, right? That's kind of what you do as a journalist or an entertainer. And so, what did you get wrong there? And then, what real world harm did it do?
Let me ask you a question. I respect Elon. I answered this question. I said it's probably the last time I'll ever talk about it. I'm not going to live in Groundhog Day. I believe Sandy Hook happened. I've been through hell over it. I was not the guy that first questioned it. PR firms blew it up and made it my identity. It's not my identity. My identity is human in the future, Team Human. What Elon Musk is doing, I'm never talking about it again. That's your answer.
Got it. Okay. So what would you do differently in the future, when going after some conspiracy theory like this? And do you believe that when you go after these conspiracy theories, they can have real world harm? I.e., your fans knocking on the door.
Yeah, I get it. If I would comment on one something that has 50 million views, I will be blamed for their questioning. So I'm very careful about that now. I didn't realize I had 30 million viewers a day back then because I wasn't looking at the analytics. But yeah, I've learned a lot of lessons that the media and PR firms will misrepresent what I'm saying to then attach themselves to me and play victim. So I'm not talking about it. I won't even say the name of it. What I will say is I'm at X right now, and it's blowing up and taking the planet back for humanity at Real Alex Jones. People should follow it there and hear what I actually say, and I don't talk about the school shooting. That is not who I am. That's what PR firms.
Jason, I should say that the Sandy Hook issue was the first thing I raised with Alex. He did answer it at length at the beginning of this Spaces the conversation. So I think you may not have heard the.
Yeah, I didn't hear the start of it. I was alerted to this towards the end. I think the issue, Elon, candidly,
I'm not saying I'm not commenting whether I agree or disagree with his answer, but it was the very first thing that I asked when I got on this Spaces conversation. Just as it was the first thing that you asked. I think it's the for people that care about whether there's sort of empathy and whether somebody has been, cruel or mean or something. That's like the first thing they're going to ask about. And so that was the first thing I asked about. And it it was answered. Once somebody can agree with that answer or not.
And no matter how
Just so you
many
know,
times
I did ask it.
no matter how many times I answer it, it's never good enough because I'm that guy. I'm not what they said. I covered the internet questioning it. I've already said I'm sorry over 500 times, 3 or 4 times today, but it's always the same question. I'm not that name of it.
Yeah, I think people actually will eventually get tired of you answering the question.
When is that?
I
5,000
I think
years?
for someone who started out this, who's listened to the whole spaces, they probably are actually tired of you answering the question. To be frank,
I certainly am.
Patrick, you there? Patrick, you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
We can, yes.
Fantastic. I don't have any questions. The biggest thing is, and I heard Jason's question, and I know Alex answered it at the beginning with Elon, opening it up with him. I had Alex on. I don't know, Alex. It was a couple months ago or something. You were on. We had a great exchange together. The best part about this is the following. I applaud Elon for the fact that just a few months ago he said he's not going to have Elon on, he's not going to have Alex on. And then after seeing what the audience wants, the survey comes to 70-30, and keeping that commitment for allowing Alex to be on. The people who have different strong opinions, who are humanists, who want to defend freedom of speech, defend the same rights that we have, we're finding each other. And I just want everybody to remember this. Go back to September of 2022, when Professor Galloway said Elon is full of it, he's not going to buy it, he's toying with all of you. And then Elon bought the company. Whatever the price of the company was, some said it was 50% more. It was a $20 billion company, $30 billion company. He paid the entire number. He didn't have to do this. If that purchase wasn't to be made, think about where America would be today. I want everybody to think about that part. It's been 13 months since then. It's pissed a lot of people off. The fact that, Elon, I applaud you for standing up to folks who you're saying what you're saying to advertisers, where what do you have to do? Be a slave to them? They have to constantly put that fear in you. We applaud you. You got a lot of people backing you up. Alex, it's great to have you back on. Pushing the envelope. You could be wrong. Everybody could be wrong. It's not like all of us are always right. We have the ability to be wrong. And when we are, and people can challenge, then they can make a decision. Either, look, I don't like Alex, or I like Alex. Great, no problem. That's the freedom of, you have to pick and choose to like somebody's views or not. But the biggest factor here is somebody had the courage to use their resources to buy a platform like this, to give everybody else the freedom to debate, to argue, to give their thoughts, to give their opinions. And then at the same time, if you're wrong, you admit to it. If you're not, you stick to your guns. But best part on what's going on to the world right now is we are finding each other. The fighters are finding each other. And that has got to be a very scary thing to people who oppose the concept of freedom of speech. So I have no question for Alex. I have no questions for Elon. I just wanted to jump in and applaud everybody, even those who debate, even those who agree, even those who disagree. Future looks bright. The right people are finding each other. And I applaud all of you. That's all I wanted to say. So,
Patrick, beautifully said, brother.
My man.
Remember, Patrick, I apologize for Sandy Hook on your show 5 years ago. Remember that,
I remember that.
Patrick, question for you then. You've been here a few times and you've uploaded spaces. I think you've got 2 million subscribers on YouTube. When will the X version launch?
When will the X version launch? I've never had a conversation with Elon. We've never had a sit down. I totally support what they're doing. Right now, what we're doing is we're starting to upload all our episodes on X, as well as we're putting on other platforms. But the direction this is going, with a few asks that was made where we can now watch the video on 2.0 speed. I'm a 2.0 speed guy.
X
I like
marks
to
the
speed
spot.
it up.
X marks the spot. X is it.
No, I totally see it going that direction. But no, I mean, look, it's look what's going on right now. Look at this live. How many people are on right now? I don't know what the number is.
118,000.
119,000 on a Sunday, where I'm sitting in my backyard right now watching my 4 kids play soccer, and we're able to jump on and have a conversation like this. This is insane. The power of what's going on with this.
This is the future.
I think this is just the beginning, and the right guy is driving it. So future looks bright.
Sev?
Yeah, this question is for Mr. Musk and Mr. Gates. So during the 2020 election cycle, we saw a lot of people be either deplatformed or noted for making claims of election fraud. Now, at the time that those claims were made, there was no way of knowing they were true or untrue because they hadn't been litigated yet. So going forward, as we're coming into a new election cycle, Mr. Gates, is there anything being done legislatively or in the House to ensure that that doesn't happen again? And the same question would go to Mr. Musk. Thank you.
The strongest, I think, influence on that censorship regime right now is the Missouri v. Biden, litigation and the injunctions there that are being resolved, and some sort of the public humiliation we've put some of the senior DOJ and FBI leadership through as they've had to fess up to the nature of some of these emails and contacts. We've brought the journalists that have been covering this, Schellenberger and Taibbi, forward to kind of repeatedly try to set that deterrent. But I think that it's not just about election. It can be about any number of the things that the federal government wants to control the four corners of discourse on. And these are the people who would have would have banned Galileo, and yet when people want to share evidence or experiences or concerns, you can't have the Department of Homeland Security and CISA working alongside NSA and FBI on those projects. Otherwise, people start to fear that if they're not proactively censoring, that they run afoul of some sort of legal regime. And it's also sickening if you just track the extent to which a lot of these senior lawyers oscillate back and forth between big tech and the senior positions in our government that decide these things. So Republicans in the House should be taking a stronger stand, in my view. We should be putting riders on the funding for CISA and FBI so that anything that would occur there would be so clearly outside the law that it would draw sanction. But instead, we continue to govern by these continuing resolutions that don't gate resources away from that censorship.
Well, actually, Congressman Gates, the fact you mentioned that about the FBI and CISA, this has been the huge thing that's come out of the Twitter files, and it was a two-way street. So while you're tracking what the government was doing in 2020 vis-a-vis censorship, really leaning on regards to the Hunter Drive laptop, which we released in October of 2020, this is actually a huge question for X going forward into 2024, because Elon, you've said that you want to be in working in conjunction within the confines of the law, but the question is, if that law is being enforced by the law enforcement agency of the FBI or the DHS, and then they come to X and say, these posts need to be censored, this information needs to be censored because we've determined whatever it is, how does X make that determination?
Well, if we believe that something is not in accordance with the law, then we will ask a judge or jury to make a decision.
I've
So
actually been
yeah,
here.
we don't have much of it. That is the best we can do. So and I just want to.
You just cut out again, Elon. You got a call.
Oh, sorry.
You're back. You're back.
Yeah, I just want to be clear that the X platform will aspire to be as neutral as possible, and that's and to be as open and transparent as possible. I think we will be. I think we will achieve maximum transparency. I think we'll be fully transparent. Hopefully by early next year. But I'm confident we'll be fully transparent by the time there's an election next year. So basically people will just see anything that is happening on the system, and nothing will be hidden. That is the goal.
Well, if those agencies, though, the FBI, the DHS, et cetera, if they reach out to X, where I believe they called it defensive briefings in 2020 regarding, which eventually culminated in the censorship of Hunter Biden, if they started reaching out again, would that be something that you or the team, and no, I can understand if you don't want to answer now, but you would consider making public?
We will be as transparent as possible with that, and frankly, if I think a government agency is breaking the law in their demands on the platform, I would be prepared to go to prison personally if I think they are the ones breaking the law.
Redhead, and then Alex and Benny.
Great, thank you. Hi everyone, I'm Josie. I'm a revolutionary historian and I do outside media work at timcast.com. I just wanted to jump back to X as a free speech platform. Elon had mentioned constitutional speech will be protected, and there's some confusion as to what that constitutes, constitutional speech. So I just wanted to help kind of clarify that for some listeners who might have questions. So the speech and expression which are not given protections in America under the First Amendment include incitement, defamation, fraud, obscenity, CP, fighting words, and true threats. The government does have power to make blanket regulations on speech, including time, place, manner. That's usually done in the form of permits. And when it comes to slander and libel, those are defamation adjacent and need to be proven, as there's no such thing as a false opinion under the First Amendment, only a false fact. But many times, by the time the due process is through, the damage has already been done. I mean, we saw that with the Me Too movement, particularly with Justice Kavanaugh. We saw that with Alex Jones, the Tates, Nick Sandmann, and Kyle Rittenhouse, where the kind of propaganda machine took over, and truth was lost for a period of time. So when it comes to obscenity, that's the hardest constitutional violation to prove when it comes to the expression of that, because it has kind of a standard of I know it when I see it. So there is something called the Miller test to determine whether something is deemed legally extreme. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, so we're not doing drag queen story time here. We're not calling for violence. We're not hacking websites. We're promoting freedom. That's why we're censored.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Hi, I just
Alex.
wanted to.
Hey, Alex.
No, you're good. I just wanted to thank Elon for his commitment to free speech, reinstating Alex. Of course, welcome back. And I just wanted to, I think it was Mark Dice earlier who raised this with Owen Schroyer's ban. I just wanted to note that it didn't have anything to do with the InfoWars thing. It actually had to do with the fact that he called for people to come to a rally. And Media Matters actually did a hit piece, and they said that it would violate Texas's social distancing order. So that's how they actually got him banned, was through a Media Matters hit piece. So in response, Twitter 1.0 banned him. So I just wanted to get any thoughts on that.
Oh, it's perfect timing. Elon, maybe you can also give us an update, if there is any, on Media Matters and why you decided to sue them.
Yeah, Media Matters is an evil propaganda machine. So I just generally am against evil propaganda machines, and so we are suing them in every country that they operate. And we will pursue not just the organization, but anyone funding that organization. I want to be clear about that. Anyone funding that organization, we will pursue them. So Media Matters is an evil propaganda machine. They can go to hell. I hope they do. So, yeah. I need to, just step off the call at this point. So I just have some family obligations. But I think it's been certainly a very interesting conversation. I suspect this will go viral. Probably snippets of it will go viral in a way that don't entirely represent the situation. I hope that anyone who reads about it or hears about it actually just takes the time to listen to the entire Spaces conversation. It will be saved. I suspect there will be probably many millions, if not tens of millions of people listening to the conversation. I just hope that they listen to the whole conversation and not just small parts of it.
Elon, I totally agree. And let me just say, thanks for reinstating me. I'm going to do the best job to not be misrepresented. And I thank you. And I thank you for the freedom you're promoting, the pro-human future. We're on Team Humanity. Thanks for spending 2 hours with us plus. And this has just been surreal. It's really been amazing. So X is where it's at. Thank you, Elon Musk.
You're welcome. Like I said, I'm very much supporting in the United States, the laws and Constitution of the United States. And I think if we start eroding, if we erode freedom of speech, we erode the foundation of democracy. The bedrock of democracy is freedom of speech, and we must do everything we possibly can to protect that. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Elon, for all the time, and I want to thank this whole crew. I'm going to be posting a lot of stuff at Real Alex Jones on Twitter. People should follow us there. And this has been the most epic interview ever. I love this new Spaces system, and it's just good to have my identity back, so I actually say what I actually said versus misrepresenting. I'm not perfect, but God bless you all, and I really appreciate Elon Musk and everybody else that is promoting free speech. That says we don't have free speech, we have nothing.
Want more content? Early access? A bunch of perks? Click the links in the pinned comment. AG1 has given me a massive, meaningful boost in energy, allowing me to do a lot more every day, including using